Hello and welcome to the Marketing Woman podcast. I'm your host, Anusha Khannan, and it is great to have you here. Are you looking to move into marketing or want to learn marketing from scratch? We discuss all things marketing, analytics, business, personal branding, and much more in a way any layman can understand. If you're new here, make sure to follow along and get on that email list by visiting tmw.anushakhannan.com. And now let's dive in. Before we get into this week's episode, I want to talk about what I've been up to these past couple of weeks. What I've been up to these past couple of weeks actually has a lot to do with today's episode, and I went and learned a lot about neuromarketing these last couple of weeks because it was one of those courses when I did my master's degree that I wasn't able to take, and it always was in the back of my head, and I always wanted to know what neuromarketing was and how neuroscience played a big role in marketing. Let's get into this week's bi-weekly catch-up and the episode together, and let's jump right into segment 1, where we're going to look at neuromarketing techniques that are being used in Facebook ads or Meta ads. There are 3 things you can do. The first thing is visual storytelling. Visual storytelling doesn't have to be in an image format. It can also be in the form of video or podcast or anything. So it's about telling a story, creating a relatability factor between your visitor and your website. The second thing is emotional copy. Content is always king. So crafting ad copy that triggers emotions. People often make purchasing decisions based on emotions rather than logic. This is where customer experience comes into play because people like to feel a different way. People like the dopamine hit. So emotional copies can do that for you. The third thing is strategic call to action. You need to tell your customer what they have to do next. We've talked about this before. You always have to tell them whether it's making a purchase or signing up for your email marketing or downloading something. Instead of saying, learn more, say, hey, unlock your potential today. This is something that life coaches use all the time, and they always tell you, become a better you today. Hey, you took this action. You're capable. These CTAs engages your audience brains and drive them to take action. Now let's dive into segment 2, the power of heat map analysis. I've always wondered, how can people know how I interact with their website? Turns out there is a way to know that. When I did my master's degree, a couple of my friends from neuromarketing science class asked me to be a participant in one of their assignments. I never actually got the opportunity to do that, but I was very curious because they explained what it is that I'd be doing. They told me that I just had to sit in one place and scroll through the website. And I didn't exactly get it because I wasn't a part of that class, but I went ahead and did some research on that. Turns out there are 3 types of heat maps, maybe more. I'm still learning. The first thing is click heat maps. This helps you learn where your visitors' website are clicking the most, and this can help you identify which elements on your website or links are most engaging. How cool would that be if you can know which part of your website your visitors are clicking on, and you can prioritize that and push the others down to the website? For example, if you go to tmw.anushakhannan.com, the first thing that appears on that page is listen to my podcast on so-and-so platforms. And I did that because my first intention is when you land on my website, I want you to be able to get to my podcast. The rest, yes, is definitely important, but it's not important to you. If there's a way for me to know what's important to you on my website, I can prioritize that for you, which will help both you and I. The second thing is scroll heat maps. So this helps you learn about your visitor and know how far users scroll down your page. Again, this helps you put crucial information at first, like listen to the Marketing Woman podcast, and then sign up for the newsletter in the second part of the webpage. The third heat map is move heat map. This is where you try to identify where your visitors move their mouse cursor. Again, it just helps you figure out which part of the website they're interested in. So from the couple of places where I started learning about this, I didn't get a chance to see what it is that my friends were actually doing. So I researched a little bit on that, and turns out there are more than 3 kinds of heat maps. So the fourth one is called the eye gazing heat map, eye tracking heat map. So what this does is help you figure out which part of the website your customer is actually looking at. And yes, it's definitely a different software that you have to use for that, but many visual analytics softwares can give you that. More than your clicks, more than your scrolls, more than how your mouse cursor is used, if you can actually see where your customer is spending most of their time on your website on. How cool is that? This is too cool for me. So let's go into segment 3, email marketing strategies. So we're gonna do 3 things here, and yes, we're only gonna do 3 things. The first thing you're gonna do is segment your email list. We talked about segmentation and targeting in the first season. We are gonna divide our email subscribers into segments based on their preferences, behaviors, and demographics. The only way to get more open rates is to send relevant content to relevant people. So one thing that I am actually trying to learn right now is product recommendations and how that is done. I've always been very curious when Amazon does that. Customers also bought this. So when you do email marketing, make sure you target the right basket. The second thing is personalization is key, of course. Personalized email subject lines and content has such a significant impact on your engagement. A couple of things that I would do on your subject line, use a very commonly known phrase and turn that into your brand's voice. I recently bought a book by one of my favorite podcasters in the world, and I attended his masterclass and I attended his live. I'm also going to attend his book launching party virtually. I got an email from his team, which had his name on it, and the subject line was Anusha, you are a pre-order warrior. Yes, it's not a very well-known phrase, but this subject line made me want to open that email because I was wondering, oh, did I actually beat some people and get the first couple of copies? And then when I went inside, the email read like this. They said, Anusha, your determination to level up is impressive. So impressive that I've got something for you too. The way you pre-ordered my book, the way you signed up for a community, the way you went through the workshop. These things show that you're actually ready to level up your life. So these things actually triggered something in me and made me feel happy. It made me feel like, yes, I am working towards building a better life for myself. So here what you have to note is A, they did personalization. They call me by my name. My favorite podcaster in the world is calling me by my name. Obviously not, but I know the technique because I know what they're doing. But even though I knew what they were doing, I fell for it. Even though I knew what they were doing, it still made sense to me. And the second thing that they did is they pointed out my entire journey. And the third thing was use a great ad copy. Yes, it's an email copy, but they knew how to sell it. They knew how to sell the next thing that they were about to sell to me, and I signed up for that too. They triggered an emotional part of me. That ad copy was definitely meant to be emotional and to make me take the next step, and which is what we're going to talk about, which brings me to my final part, which is A/B testing for optimization. Maybe they didn't send the same kind of email to everyone. Maybe they had different email elements like subject lines, images, or call to action to see what resonates best with different kinds of people in their audience. Another thing in neuromarketing is colors and fonts, which play a huge role. For Sensible Scoop in 2022, if you don't know what Sensible Scoop is, it is my blog. It was my blog, which turned into the Marketing Woman podcast. That brand's color was Very Perry because Pantone announced Very Perry as 2022's color. But when you look at the Marketing Woman podcast, the colors are black, blue, and white. 2 parts of the entire logo is highlighted in blue because blue shows consistency, relatability, and trust. Not that everyone's going to notice that, not that everyone's going to know that, but sometimes color triggers you. For me, if you say red, I'm going to think about Ferrari instantly. And the second thing that comes to mind is Coca-Cola. Now, you could have thought about something else differently. And fonts play such a major role. I know that certain fonts remind me of certain brands. I love how Rhode Skin has a very elegant font that they use, and it's always used in like this big font way where they have big font sizes, and it's very elegant, chic, and classy. So let's do a quick recap before we end this episode. So we learned about neuromarketing techniques such as visual storytelling, emotional copy, and strategic CTAs. So in that segment, the goal is to engage your audience's brains and drive them to take action. And in the second segment, we learned about the power of heat map analysis. We learned about click heat maps, scroll heat maps, move heat maps, and eye tracking, eye gaze heat map. Heat map analysis helps you optimize your user's experience and content placement for maximum engagement. And in the third segment, email marketing strategies, we learn how you have to bucket your email list. We learn how you have to segment your email list, how to personalize, how to do A/B testing, and how to have powerful CTAs. Email marketing, it always, email marketing is not dead. It's still a powerful tool for connecting with your audience effectively. With that, I'm sure there's still a lot more to learn for me and for you, and I will keep you updated as I keep learning more. People learn this for an entire semester. I'm obviously not going to cover it in under 10 minutes. We're going to keep learning about neuroscience marketing throughout the next couple of episodes. We will still go back to this topic and learn more. And once I learn more, I'm going to come back and we're going to explore this together. That's all for today. I hope you found it useful. Please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Please share it with anywhere, with anyone you can think of. I would appreciate that. And you can email me at tmw@anoshakanan.com. Follow me on LinkedIn to never miss my journey. I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.